I think it's really important everyone gets involved in politics because those who vote will get some kind of representation. They may not get fantastic representation, but let's look at who is voting. They tend to be older, they tend to be wealthier, and they tend to be white, and they're the ones who are getting the best representation in Parliament. Those who tend not to vote, which are younger, poorer, and people of colour, they're the ones who are least represented. So, first thing is, politics will affect you one way or the other through your life. Whether it's the schooling you receive, university tuition fees you pay, the taxes you pay, the debt the country has, the kind of defence system we have, the kind of lifestyle you have, public transport, absolutely everything will affect you. So to sort of say, it doesn't interest me, well, you may not be interested in politics, but politics is interested in you. And for example, in Germany, the Nazis rounded up people, some of them who weren't interested in politics. Politics has come to get them and put them in concentration camps. The simplest way would be it's a horse race in every single constituency. So you've literally got maybe 5 horses who run, and it's the first horse that goes past the winning line becomes the MP for that constituency. So we've got about 650 constituencies. So there's 650 horse races around the country, and the winning horse from each one goes to Parliament. Well, they divide up the country into constituencies, and that's been done historically. And some of those constituencies have a bigger population now than in the past, and so it's time for those constituency boundaries to be redrawn. It's quite a technical thing, and the last government tried to do it, but they got into a bit of a political spat with the Liberal Democrats, so it didn't happen. Yeah, I mean, the constituency boundaries, they're not quite evenly drawn, so some constituencies have much bigger numbers. And the other thing is, those people who don't register to vote, that also impacts on the people around them, because if you don't register to vote, that's the numbers they're going on. It's registered voters in each constituency. They don't do it by population, they do it by registered voters. So every time someone doesn't register to vote, you're actually not only disenfranchising yourself, but those in your constituency. Left wing, the term left wing and right wing actually comes from the French Revolution, and those on the left were very against the king, and those on the right were more in favour of the king, and it's pretty much like that today. Those on the left tend to be anti-royalist, they tend to be in favour of government spending, they tend to be in favour of central state control of the economy, helping the poorest. Those on the right tend to be more royalist, they tend to be in favour of letting business get on with it without interference from government. They're in favour of low taxation. So, if you like, the right is more business friendly, it's more in favour of the kind of leaving wealth where it is. Those on the left tend to be more in favour of the workers, and they tend to be in favour of redistributing wealth a little bit because they think it's unfair. I guess the role of the cabinet and the role of the Prime Minister, because effectively that's where the decisions take place. Increasingly, decisions are not really made so much by Parliament, they're ratified by Parliament, they're actually made by the cabinet. And since Mrs Thatcher and Tony Blair, increasingly by the Prime Minister, so the Prime Minister is becoming almost presidential in the powers they have. And Tony Blair was criticised for making decisions on the sofa with his closest, advisors, and then really presenting that to the cabinet. The reason it's called a cabinet is it's in a room which is outside the kind of media scrutiny, so you can't bring cameras in there and record what's going on like you can in Parliament. So it's like a secret chamber where decisions, they can talk about anything, they can have blue sky thinking, and they can say, shall we put student tuition fees up to £20,000? And it won't be reported because it's a private space. If they did that in Parliament, it'd be outrage. Sometimes it's quite difficult. I mean, on one level you could get involved in party politics, so you could join up with a political party and try and get involved into parish politics and town councils, and that's really actually quite easy because not many people want to do that job. Not many people want to be representatives on a town council, so quite often if you stand, there's not many people standing against you. I guess the other way is, politics happens in different ways every single day, and it's according to what kind of organisations you're members of. If you're a member of a union, you can exert political pressure because you can fight for better wages. If you're a member of a charity, you're doing work broadly that's political. So there's lots of ways we can work with collectively to make changes, and I think this is one of the reasons Russell Brand sort of has a thing about electoral politics, that it happens once every 5 years. You put an X in a box, tell someone else to go make all the decisions for you. And in a way, he's got a point. What I think people want to move towards is a system of direct democracy where we have more say over the things that affect us. We've got electronic media, which means we could vote on all kinds of issues. It would be quite easy and quite low cost. But I think we may have to wait for for another 10, 20 years for that to come to pass. But if people put pressure on politicians for it to happen, that could happen as well.